All right, everybody, welcome to this evening session. My name is Sarah Rose Stack. I'm the Director of Internet Sales and Training with Shop.com and MA Web Centers. And I'm excited to be here today sharing with you our 7 keys to marketing for service-based businesses. So these service-based businesses are professional service providers or service providers in general or nonprofits or just businesses which rather than necessarily relies more heavily on the exchange of goods or retail for the survival of their business is more in relying on trading service. So think about your auto bodies, your salons, your dentists, doctors, law firms, accountants, people that have service-based businesses need to think about how they're going to market that business a little bit differently than, say, your average retail business. A lot of times the commerce that happens after an advertisement is viewed or a potential customer takes a look at something that you've put out there, it happens offline. Or if it does happen online, it's still a little bit of a relationship building process that needs to happen. And so again, that really does affect the way that a service-based business is going to actually market themselves. So the first thing to identify is, are you a service-based business? Would you say that 51% of your business is, about the exchange of a service for some sort of money, right? And what are you currently doing to market that business? And are you marketing it keeping in mind that your viewers of your websites, your digital marketing, your advertising in general are going to be looking for a different type of information. They're going to want to be able to research more. They're going to want to get credibility. And they want to be able to do that on their own, which is the hard part, right? So 10 years ago, 15 years ago, you could take out an advertisement as a service-based business in, a yellow book or, in a newspaper or just, a small business card size ad. And in that ad, you would likely have put your business name, some contact information, and a few bullet points about what you do. And what consumers would do with that information is they would spend time picking up the phone and calling the different ads that popped out to them the most. And they would have conversations with you over the phone, and you would have an opportunity to talk to them one-on-one and really answer their questions and build some rapport and, sell them and wanting either further information or just wanting to go with you overall. But that's just not how we as consumers research products and services anymore. And so it really, again, because the way that we research products and services as customers has drastically changed, the way that we market to those potential customers has to shift as well. Otherwise, you're not going to be really maximizing any of the advertising that you are doing. And so just think about what you do now. Today, what you do is you go online. If you heard about a business on Google, you're obviously going to click through their website before you pick up the phone or fill out a contact form. If you heard about a business in a newspaper ad, you're also just as likely to go to their website first. In fact, if you are advertising anywhere else, any sort of traditional advertising, whether it's radio or television or print advertising, or whether it's a placemat at a local restaurant, the most important thing that you can put on any ad is your website, because they're not going to call you unless they can do a little bit of poking around on their own first. That's just the way that people are today. So your website is going to play a pretty big role in the success of all of your marketing strategies, whether it's digital or traditional. And so what we're going to talk about today are really the 7 things that we find are the most things that everyone can keep in mind. One really obvious thing that we're not going to include in our 7 is, when you have a service-based business, a lot of times your content really needs to be written to explain your value. It's more value over price, right? So you have to think about what makes you stand out. Who are you? Why should someone go with you versus somebody else? There's a lot of information and credibility that needs to be provided. But what we're going to go through is content, how to remove the barrier to entry for your customers, how to build community, how to communicate with your customers of service-based business, how to not be afraid to compete for the space. The internet is a level playing field, and it gives us local businesses an opportunity to compete with big dogs, because if you know just a couple little things that will help you to be more visible in different areas online, now you're going to be showing up, side by side some of these other companies where, someone's going to want to go local. That's a big thing. People like to buy local. And if they have the opportunity to do that, a lot of times they will, especially if the value is there. And a lot of times the price is there too. So we're going to talk about how to not be afraid to compete, and what are some things that you can do to give yourself a cohesive marketing strategy so that the little things that you are doing are all working together so that you can compete. Our sixth thing that we're going to talk about is how to improve your SEO value. SEO is search engine optimization, and that's referring to just the way that your website shows up on search engines like Google or Yahoo. And again, if you just know a couple of tiny little things, you spend 20 minutes making some minor tweaks to your website, it can make a pretty big impact. And that impact can lead to a ton more customers for you. So we definitely want to cover some of those strategies. And then the other thing we're calling is 7 is how do you add local flavor? Again, being a local business is attractive, and your customers they prefer to do business locally. So what are some things that you can do in your community or locally that can help you to really help yourself to stand out from the crowd against some maybe franchises or other big companies that are working to take that business away from local business. And there's nothing against, or there's nothing wrong with franchises, but the majority of the people on the session tonight and that we work with are all small to medium-sized businesses, and we love local businesses. That's what we're all about. And so we're here to help you guys to market yourself more effectively. All right, so let's get into it. So again, the first thing is content. Content is critical. Content is critical for everything. It's critical for SEO, but most importantly, it's critical for communication, right? If you are going to stand out from 9 other auto body shops in the area, something has to pop out at the person viewing your site versus theirs. And so what I recommend is that you evaluate the content on your website and make sure that it is communicating your value clearly. Is it clearly stating who you are and why you're better and what do you offer that's either above and beyond what someone else would offer, or is exactly what somebody would need? Your services that you provide need to be clearly defined. And by the way, that's really helpful for anybody that has several services that they provide. A lot of times people, you'll expand your business a little bit, or you'll add another branch, you'll add another focus, and you don't think to update your website, or you don't think to update other things that you have going on out there. And what you're forgetting is that when you have customers and service-based businesses, many times those customers are repeat customers. So a really great example is, let's say you owned a contracting company and you started your company off doing windows and siding, right? And you have a couple of customers that have done that. Well, the majority of your customers hopefully won't need your services again for a little while. However, if your website also said, and by the way, we also do roofs and we also do, I don't know, additions, right? So if you have those other services listed clearly, it gives you an opportunity to do additional business with your existing customer base. So, don't underestimate how important it is to clearly define your services. And most importantly, define those services in a language that your customers understand. We have to remember that as business owners, we own our companies and we are experts in our, arena. And the way that we speak about our industry is not necessarily how, your customers are speaking about your industry. So we want to make sure, we definitely want to make sure that we are communicating clearly and that our services are clearly defined for everybody. And again, it's in a language that's easy to understand. Now, you obviously don't want to, write it in layman's terms. You definitely want to establish yourself as an industry professional in whatever area it is that you specialize in. However, again, you just want to keep in mind that if you talk too technically about services that you provide, you're not necessarily going to build rapport with that person that's reading it. You might actually just overwhelm them, and then they'll stop reading altogether. And then finally is credibility. Credibility is really important. When people are researching products and services, they want to see product reviews. They want to see testimonials. They want to see what other people are saying about your business, right? Because let's just face it, what other people say about your level of service is going to be so much more powerful to someone making a decision about doing business with you than say what you say about yourself. So again, it sounds like a silly little step that may or may not have a lot of value, but it's a little minor thing that you can do to just, curate some testimonials and post them on your social media channels, post them on your website, so that you can, have some credibility on there. And we're going to talk about how to do all of these things, so don't worry. Um, but don't underestimate the importance of good content, especially in a situation where you know that your customers are doing their research before they decide to reach out to you. The last thing I want to say, it's not written on there, is I think in service-based businesses, having content that includes resources for existing customers is also really, really, really important. It's actually one of the first things I look for when I'm looking to, check out a dentist or check out a different salon or whatever. Not a salon, but more like professional service providers. Like I just looked for a new doctor, and you just want a little bit more locally. And it's so crazy because I'm going to several different websites and I'm just reading about them, and most of them, surprisingly, as you know, in the medical industry, were written like commercials, like advertisements, like people just trying to gain new patients, which is fine. I understand that that is one of the goals of a website. But very few of them actually had resources for their patients. And to me, that demonstrated that practices commitment to their patients. I didn't want to just know about why I should go with them and why they're so awesome. I wanted to see what kind of resources would actually be available to me if I was a patient there. So, when you are writing your content, we talked a little bit about this last month. You want to make sure that content is written not only to attract new customers to your business, but also to serve the customers that you have. Not only is that going to increase the loyalty and the ongoing business relationship that you have with your existing customers, it very often will also affect the decision of a potential customer as well. So, one thing when you're looking at your content is your business identity clear? When a customer goes to your website, is it clear who you are? Is it clear which products or services you provide? Is your brand clear? Right? So what you're seeing right now is just four different screenshots um, of four different kinds of businesses. The first one is a restaurant, right? This one right over here. And it's very obvious that this is a really cool, hip restaurant that serves great steak. Look at the seasoning on that thing. It looks awesome. It's very inspiring. There's some pictures here of shrimp and steak and red wine. When you look at this, it's obvious what kind of food they sell, and it's obvious right away that this is, a nice place to go out for dinner. In addition, right on their homepage, you can scroll down and their menu is showing up there. And the reason why is because they understand that the people going to their website, that's 9 times out of 10 what they're looking for is the menu. So why not put it in a great place? With responsive design, you can actually build websites out longer than you used to be able to do it. People like to be able to scroll down and just see the different sections. You can do that kind of thing. But it's very obvious who this business is. This one, and I purposely did not put the header on there. But if you look at this second screenshot, you can obviously tell that this is some sort of a salon or beauty services business, right? So you've got service 1, service 2, service 3, service 4. So this hasn't been quite written yet, but it's obvious that when you're looking at this, you've got hair, makeup, massage, and nail service, right? And so one thing, in case you haven't noticed, that really makes a difference in helping to give yourself a clear description is the pictures that you choose to use on your website. Um, a clear description is not just about text. It's also about visuals. Adults I mean, gosh, we have the attention spans of gnats. So that was from Forbes magazine. I didn't say that, but it's true. We do. We have the attention span of a gnat sometimes, right? We want to scroll to the next thing so quickly. And so if there's no image to grasp our attention, we're not staying there. To the right of that, you're seeing a nonprofit. And again, it's so obvious. It's clear. It's all divided up very nicely. Cause one, cause two, cause three, company, pictures, things that stand out. I love this. They have a tagline here that says, "We help make the world a better place." That's what they're all about, right? So why not go ahead and make that stand out? The way that they chose to make better a different color is a really smart decision. They made this in, and they italicized the text here to make it pop out. It's a little bit bigger than the body text, right? So it's obvious what that is, and it's actually a simple little thing, right? Just some basic formatting that makes this look so much more editorial, and also very clearly sends the message that yes, we have these 4 or 5 different causes that we support, but what we're all about is helping to make the world a better place. It's a clear description of who they are. And then again, to the right over here, you've got looks like a consulting company, right? So you've got schedule a free consultation. We are here to help. Superior service. That's what sets them apart from their competition. So you've got some text, you've got some pictures lying in there, and again, everything is just clearly laid out. And like I said, credibility is key. People, again, they care more about what other people say about you than what you say about yourself. And so, again, it might seem silly to spend time, curating testimonials and putting them up on a website, but it builds massive trust. When you get to a website and you can read what patients are saying or what other people are saying about somebody's business or their level of service or how they impacted them or why they loved going with that company, it's a huge asset to you. And it builds third party credibility on your behalf. Another thing that's worth noting is anytime that you, or any awards, certifications, or news articles that you were mentioned in, or anything, that any kind of accolade that would be worth sharing with somebody to build up your credibility in that arena is also worth sharing. So go ahead and have a spot on your site that talks about not just, the last one is talking about who you are and what you're all about. This is talking about really your qualifications, right? And your qualifications are things like certifications or awards or news articles and what other people are saying with you, your experience, your proof, your proof is in the pudding, right? So you want to definitely share that stuff. So the way to get more reviews or the way to get more testimonials is to ask. So if you have a service-based business, there absolutely needs to be a place on it that solicits feedback. So generally, we recommend that feedback form be on a contact us page because that's a place that most people will visit at least once, if not more than once, when they're visiting it. And by the way, it also provides a really nice place to send people as a follow-up. So if you've done business with them and this person has gone with you, then when you're done and you've fulfilled your end of the deal and you have a happy customer, it's a great idea to call those customers up and ask them to please leave a review or leave some feedback on your website. That would be really, really appreciated. You can email them that or you can make a phone call, but either way, you have to ask. Because unfortunately, in the world that we live in, people are generally only inspired to leave feedback if they feel like they've had a negative experience or if they've had a ridiculously over the top amazing experience. And you don't want to lose out on collecting the good and the great and the excellent experiences because maybe you didn't take them to Mars, So you have to ask. It's just not in our nature to just decide to leave feedback for somebody on a business or a service. Now, number 2, the second thing that you want to do is you want to remove the barrier to entry. What I mean by that is you need to make it easy for your customers to communicate with you and get what they want. So when your website is so text heavy and it's so difficult to navigate or it's not mobile friendly and someone's trying to look at it on their iPhone, or the phone number is like impossible to find, or you don't have an email address, or things are just not working, you don't have directions on there, there's no form to ask for something, people are just going to go, ugh, this is too much work, I'm going to go to the next website. So again, seems like a simple little thing, but if you have a service-based business and people are researching service providers and they can't contact you easily, they're not going to go ahead and go crazy looking for these things. So I always recommend phone number, front page, top right corner or top left corner, and it should be clickable. Meaning, if I get to your website on my iPhone and I see your phone number, I don't want to have to remember it and type it out. I should be able to click that phone number and have it automatically dial your business. I want directions, Google Maps right on there. Email address is a no-brainer, and the other big, 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 big thing is the forms. Again, it seems like so silly because we use them every day and it's something we've been using for so long, so we forget how powerful they actually are. But again, we're in a situation today where people don't want to pick up the phone and talk to you right away. They want to start off electronically. And they would rather, request information through a form on your website than pick up the phone and ask you to send them something. So if you don't have that happening on your website, you're missing out on that form of communication, which very often is the preferred method of communication and is the difference between someone communicating with you or not. So here are some examples. Again, your contact information needs to be so clear and so visible. So you're seeing contact us pages right here, and it's obvious. There's some nice little iconography going on, so it's not boring. You have the address showing up, the phone number, the email. It's all click to call or click to email. Another important thing is to have social media icons showing. If you have any social media channels that you guys are active on, then go ahead and include the icons for those social channels and allow them to click and follow you, because you know what? That's another thing. They will definitely want, if they want to engage with you on social media, that's a slam dunk, because that's open communication on a daily or weekly basis. Just keep in mind, if you are not active on that platform and you have that icon on there and someone clicks on it and you haven't posted on your Facebook business page in over a month, that does not help you. That works against you. So you only want to post icons for social platforms that you are actually actively participating in. Contact forms and feedback forms are all here. You can see here on this one, actually in this example, this person even has an easy monthly newsletter sign up. So people can submit their email address and that will send you a notification. And actually, if you have a website with us, it will automatically be added to your CRM, your customer relationship management system. It will create a contact, which will make it so that you can actually go ahead and begin email marketing to them right away. These are the forms. These are some examples of forms, or really great ways to close a deal right away. So things on the homepage, reasons to have forms, or things for people to click on, coupons, deals, or specials, things that are happening now that would make someone want to call you or want to click right now. Where is your sense of urgency? So this is a travel company, and they were offering a Yosemite View Lodge National Park 2-night stay for $219. That's amazing, right? That's a great little deal. So there's a button there that says View Deal. Don't assume that just because your business is small to medium size, maybe you are making less than $1 million a year, or you have less than 100 employees. You have more like 10 to 20 employees, or less or more. It doesn't matter. Having up-to-date content that is engaging, that creates urgency, that's exciting, is not something that's just reserved for big business. If you have the right website solution, you can do things like this and update your website with, daily deals if you wanted to, or weekly deals, and create massive ongoing urgency with your customers and your viewers. To the right, you're seeing schedule an appointment. What kind of an appointment are you looking for? What date, what time, name, phone number, email, address, and comments. So there's an appointment scheduling and reservations tool that you get with our websites that's built right into the platform. These are examples of medical professionals or dentists that are taking advantage of this scheduling tool. Just keep in mind that a lot of medical providers obviously have their own scheduling tool that they use, What we have found is that salons and auto body shops and restaurants and other businesses where appointments are helpful, lawyers, consultations, all of that, this tool has been really great because it allows you to not have to have, a sort of CRM and on working interactive calendar with some other provider. Number 3, build community, social media, local flavor, right? So building community is so important. Social media is one of the easiest ways to build community because if you're active on it, you can interact with your people on a daily basis and at all hours of the day or different hours of the day. So the more that you do that, the stronger your presence becomes, and the more people are going to want to do business with you because they see that you're active and that you care. We're also going to talk about some local opportunities. You can sponsor a baseball team. You can participate in your community. There's all kinds of things that you can do that will build community, which again builds you up. There's nothing like being in, your side of the state and you're walking around and people are talking about who to go to for this service and someone says your name and they know all about you because they see you all over town or all over the community anyway. It makes a big difference, especially in service-based business, because when you're dealing with service-based business, you're not talking about purchasing a nail polish and then the transaction is over. Service-based business means there is most likely a lot more interaction that's going to happen between a customer and the service provider. And so that dynamic is very important. They need to click, they need to trust that person, they need to want to be around that person. And there's things that you can do to really build that up so that people will want to do business with you. So speaking of social media, I know that we've shared these statistics before, but it's important to know because we say it a lot and it almost becomes taboo. But 85% of customers are expecting businesses to be active on social media. So gone are the days where you can think about whether or not you want to have a business Facebook page or, be active on LinkedIn. That used to be totally optional, and then the people that were doing it were pretty good at it, and then everybody else would have one and just post on it once in a while. People expect you to be active on social media today. They want to run to your Facebook page. Why? Credibility. Because they know that when they go to your Facebook page after they've read on your website, they want to see that the community, that your followers, that your fans are reinforcing the message that I have just read on your website. So that social media engagement it's just not optional anymore. It's critical. Restaurants that had a 3.5 star rating on Yelp were 63% more likely to be full than those with just 3 stars. It's a half a star difference, 63% more business. So again, that comes down to social influence. If you're trying to decide on a restaurant to try out and you see 3.5 stars, that is a better rating than 3 stars, and that helps you make the decision on which restaurant to try out. 83% of marketers were saying that social media is absolutely important for their business. 100% higher lead to close ratio than outbound marketing. That's amazing. And Facebook is currently the most popular social network, according to Nielsen. So there are so many social networks. You have so many fun ones. You got Snapchat, you have Twitter, you have Instagram, you got Google Plus, Pinterest, LinkedIn. And honestly, guys, Facebook is important because that's where all the people are. So you definitely want to be present there. But I'm also going to go ahead and mention LinkedIn because as a service provider, especially if you're in professional services or consulting, having an active and professional presence on LinkedIn can be very helpful for you as well because it's a great place to interact with people that you might be able to do business with. So some quick tips on sharing on social media. What does being active on social media mean? It means that you are treating that as a place to engage with your fans and followers, not just a place to market to them or a place to advertise to them, but you're creating a community right there on your page. So we, in our last session, recommended a 10-3-1 formula for sharing, which I'll just review really quickly. On a weekly basis, or even on a monthly basis, if you did 10-3-1, that's a total of 14 posts in a month. That's probably more than what you've been doing or what some people have been doing. So you can choose to do this 14 post thing every month or every week. On Facebook, it is important not to post too much on a daily basis. One post is great, two is okay, three is too many. So it's not Twitter, it's not Snapchat. You can't just continuously post to that platform because that actually works against you. It gets annoying. It's weird, right? Because it's technically really the same people on all these different platforms, but yet in different platforms they expect different kinds of content and different levels of flow of content and frequency of content. And so on Facebook, one is great, two is okay, three is too many per day. All right, so the 10-3-1 formula, 10 shares of something that's entertaining, interesting, or inspirational, right? Just fun stuff, things that people will want to, comment on or like or enjoy. And those entertaining and interesting or inspirational posts should be something to do kind of with your business in some way, shape, or form. But it shouldn't be an advertisement, and it shouldn't be always just about your business. There's lots of fun things that you can do. Our best friends own a lawn care company, and they come up with lots of fun, inspiring, and entertaining posts, which end up being kind of advertising as well, but completely subliminally and non intentionally. So, like, for example, what's a really great? There's so many good ones that they've done, but like, with the whole Patriots Deflategate thing, okay? So that was really funny. They did this whole thing on like Deflategate got you down. I found the issue, and it was just a picture of a guy with a pressure thing by their company van, and it was just a funny thing that was kind of capitalizing on something that was in the news at the time and just trying to get people to respond. And guess what? People responded because it's funny. It's entertaining. So they liked it. They commented. It was what it was. They've also done lots of fun little videos and um, when we weren't getting rain for a while, they took a funny video of like their daughter who is like 9 years old in the backyard in a drought, just being really funny, talking about green lawns. And just if you do fun things like that, people will actually click on it. If all you're posting is buy this, try this is our deal of the day, this is that, people get annoyed and they can, search for products and services on their own, at their convenience, on their own time when they have a problem that needs to be solved. And they don't need you to loud, megaphone, traditional advertise and blast them, right? So if you want people to engage on your social platforms, you have to give them stuff that they want to engage with. Three of those posts should be industry specific information. These are articles, they are statistics, they are just good content about whatever industry you're in. They can be third party articles or they can be articles that you wrote. It doesn't matter, but you want to do about three of those because what that does is, it takes it so that your Facebook page is not just a place for entertaining stuff, but you're also sprinkling in some stuff that really helps to establish you as an industry professional, which you want to do. Okay. And then finally, one share is any kind of product or service or deal or, something cool that's time sensitive that's popping up right now that you would want to share with your audience. And just keep in mind, it's 10 entertaining, 3 industry specific, 1 of an offer. Don't make the mistake of doing this in the reverse or you're not going to have anybody engaging with you. Just a quick tip on that, don't delete negative reviews. People trust reviews more when they see negative ones mixed in. So if all you see is positive reviews, that's okay, I guess, but it does cause some slight concern about censorship. And if ever there is a review that is in a public space like Facebook or Yelp or your website, if it's automatically publishing or whatever, and you delete one, just remember somebody saw you delete that and that makes your business look sketchy. So don't do that. Use it as an opportunity to demonstrate how you handle complaints and respond positively to any complaints that come up so that Again, you're just demonstrating your commitment to service and to your customers. And it works in your favor that they posted it there because it gives you an opportunity to publicly handle it. 4, communicate through social media, through email campaigns, and of course be responsive. So we just talked about what you should be posting on social media, but it's important to remember that that is a really, really effective way to communicate. It's not just a place to hang out and play. People post on social media and they scroll on their Facebook more than they watch television. So, for you, that could be a really great place to get your important messaging out. Email campaigns are another great thing to take advantage of. And the best thing about email campaigns is that you're talking to people that have opted in to being emailed. So these are folks that want to hear from you. And if you're really if you really want to take it to the next level, you will ask your people like, hey, what do you want to hear about more? Is it this or is it that or is it everything? And of course, be responsive. There's nothing worse than emailing a small business owner a question and then you don't hear anything for 3 to 4 days because they just don't have time for email. We're in an age where that's just not okay anymore. So just if you're going to have an email address and if you're going to have communication online, whether it's on a social media platform, through email, through a form on your website, you have to be responsive and you have to respond by the end of business that day. If somebody emails you at like 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock, then sure, you can wait till the next day to respond to that. But in general, people are not cool with 1 to 2 business days anymore. They're barely cool with 1 to 2 hours, and it is kind of unfortunate how impatient we've become as a society. But it's just the way that it is. People send you an email, they want to see a response within the hour, um, or they end up like sending you the same message in 4 different places, and because they're worried you didn't see it because you're taking too long, right? So you don't have to go crazy like that, but honestly, most emails and most requests and most forms that you receive should be responded to within one business day. Some email marketing tips: you want to write your content in advance because it can be tricky to get your email campaigns ready. So be very intentional about your email campaigns and send one out a week or send one out a month or every other week. Whichever you choose, it should be something that happens, consistently. So if you only have the time to send one email campaign out per month, that's fine. Just try to send one out per month. So, because if you keep that consistent timing of delivery, then people will get used to seeing messages from you every month at a certain time, and they'll be more likely to check it out. If you are, sporadic about when you send out your email campaigns, then people aren't really going to pay very much attention. You also don't want to send out too many. There's a couple of retailers that I've actually signed up for email communication through that they send me one every single day, and it's so frustrating. And what happens is all of their messages get clumped together, and nothing seems inspiring to me because I'm just seeing stuff from them way too often. In small business, I would just say, once every 2 weeks to once every month is great. If you could do once a week, that's good too. And honestly, anything more than once a week, I feel like is overkill. Tuesdays at noon have the highest open rate when people get emails. So, that's a great time to schedule delivery, and always segment your audience. You definitely want to create email groups based on what people want to hear about. Separate your new customers from your loyal customers from your potential customers, and because the kinds of content that you're going to send to each of those groups of people might be different. 5, don't be afraid to compete. You guys, again, gone are the days where if you weren't Coca-Cola, you could not really compete on television advertising because they just own the airwaves, right? That's just not the issue anymore. That's just not the situation that we're in, and it's all thanks to the internet. So ways that you can compete in a really big way are things like competing for space on Google, competing for space on Facebook, and most importantly, by putting your best foot forward by having a very cohesive and intentional marketing strategy with collateral marketing materials. You should not be afraid to compete because there's so many big playing fields that you have an opportunity to grab some business. 78%. Every single month, there are 10.3 billion Google searches, of which 78% are people looking for products and services online. So out of 10.3 billion Google searches, if you're not showing up on Google right now, you're missing out on that many people that are looking for potentially looking for your products or services. So again, it's not like one of those things where you're like, well, I wonder if it's worth it. Well, that's where the people are going. If that's where they're going to look for products and services, wouldn't you want to be there? 62% of emails are opened on mobile devices. Is your website mobile friendly? Social media budgets are expected to double in the next 5 years. 48% of people want to, have communication via email. There's so many statistics that prove how important it is to be in these different digital environments. But the good news is that, you know, even though Google is having 10.3 billion Google searches, there's a certain number of those Google searches that are in your local community. And there are things that you can do to make sure that you're showing up for the people in your local area that are looking for your kinds of services. And the same thing is true for Facebook. When you see sponsored posts or boosted posts, there are things that you can do to make sure that your posts are showing up in your area, your local community, for people that are interested in what you do. And that's all stuff that anybody can do right now. It doesn't take a lot of money. It doesn't even take a lot of time. It definitely doesn't take, what it used to take years ago to be able to compete. My husband used to be an account executive for a print company, an advertising company. And it was crazy because he's like, it's insane. Like, if you didn't have a lot of money, most people were buying little one line ads or business card size ads for about anywhere from like $30 a month to $180 per month. And then you had the big dogs, the bigger companies that were spending, $50 to $80,000 per year on print advertising. So if you didn't have that budget, you couldn't compete for the space, and you just basically had a smaller advertisement and the other people were taking up way more space. And it was just a print directory, so it was the same space. What's so awesome about the internet is that you can dial in on specific areas and put whatever budget it is that you have toward advertising in those specific areas, and not have to worry about competing with anybody else that's reaching for a bigger reach. There's so many strategic things that you can do, and with a little bit of support, our digital marketing team is incredible. They're so smart about how they approach these kinds of things so that they can get local businesses the most for their money. So honestly, guys, if you haven't had a chance to meet with one of them, just set up an appointment and ask them about how they can help you with your Google strategy, because that alone is going to be worth it in the next year. So a cohesive strategy is important. So what makes a cohesive strategy? Number one, is your website going to close the deal for you? When someone goes to your website, is your brand obvious? Is the content good? And is it going to do and answer the questions of your visitors and do that work for you? Because remember, they're going to check out your website first, and they're going to hang out there before they make a decision. So you need to make sure that your website is locked and loaded and ready to go, right? So make sure that content is good. Are you on social media? Are you building that community? Are you communicating with your audience on a daily basis? Is your brand consistent? So when I go to your website and I go to your social media channels and I go and I check out the advertisement you just took out in the newspaper, does it look like the same company, or does it look like three totally different companies? How consistent is your brand? Do you have collateral marketing materials? That means materials that work together to help market your business. And again, are they all branded cohesively so that I know when I'm looking at anything I get from you that it's you? There's not a question in my mind. Are you advertising on Facebook, and are you advertising on Google? To me, that's the best place to get an audience and to get eyes on your website. And we all know that the more eyes that you get on your site, the more opportunities you have to create a customer. And that's a lifetime value. Again, I just kind of talked about this in depth, but Facebook and Google, you can do some very, very awesome strategic things to make the most out of whatever uh, advertising budget it is that you have so that you can get the most leads from those places. And we all know that people are Googling things. It's turned into a verb, right? And we all know that people are on Facebook. Just spend the next day looking around you throughout the day. People are scrolling through that thing all day long. And so if you had an opportunity to make some of your posts, the ones that you would want to be in front of more people, pop up more, wouldn't you take that? And it's a day, it's not a big commitment. It's so simple. So if you have any questions about there, or you do want to get your name more out there, again, you're going to want to schedule a digital marketing product appointment and just talk about your options with Google and Facebook and some things that your company can do to be more visible in those two different platforms. 6, improve SEO. SEO is search engine optimization. And the way that we're going to do this and we're going to achieve this is we're going to have better keywords, better content, and we're going to make sure that our websites are submitted to several different search engines so that it's more visible. And by the way, a little quick tip. If you are getting testimonials and you're doing that number one, building credibility and using testimonials as a way to do that, it's always a good idea to write the person's first name, last initial, town, and state. When you do that, the search engines recognize the town and state, and it helps you to show up in that town and state more often. So it's funny because the testimonials will not only help build your credibility, it's also going to help build your SEO value. All right, so the first one is local listings. What this is it's a local listing that shows your business name, website, contact information, your Google map, and when you click on it, there's a slightly more in-depth profile. So Google is in the business of giving referrals to people that are looking for stuff. And so what they do is they index all kinds of local businesses in different areas so that if, say, somebody's looking for a roofing company in the Springfield area, those are the first 3 that show up, and you can see the little pin drops. These are so you can see how close they are to where you are. So you want to make sure your website is listed in search engines like these. The directories that we recommend are Google, Bing, Yahoo, Yelp, Yellow Super Pages, DMOZ, Scrub the Web, What You Seek, and Universal Business Listing. When you log into your website account, you can actually click on these different links here, and it'll take you right to the spot that you need to go to in order to submit your business for a listing. It's important to go through that process because sometimes if you haven't submitted your business, what they'll do instead is they'll just guess. And basically that doesn't work in your favor more than half the time. Statistically, more than half the time. So you want to make sure you're keeping that in your control and that you are making the choice to submit to these search engines and you are controlling the content that gets listed. So again, you want to check those listings for accuracy and you want to go through the process of submitting so that the ones that are submitted are accurate. When people checked their local listings, 50% of people came across inaccurate listings, wrong phone numbers, wrong websites. And just guess what that does for your business's credibility. It makes it look like either A, you're out of business, B, you don't care, or C, that you're not so reliable because you have no attention to detail. So having an accurate listing is not just important for making sure people can contact you, it's also important for your online reputation. Organic placement is another really great thing. So when you work your keywords and your content and your keywords are written well about whatever it is the topic of that page is, it has to be all relevant. Then what happens is your website will show up below those local listings here. So if you have 10 different pages on your website, what you want to do is make sure that those 10 pages all have unique keywords based on the content of each of those pages, which gives your website 10 opportunities to show up in organic placement. There's a lot of thought that can go into this, what your page title should be, what content should be written, what keywords to use. And we do have a team that can help you to do this. They can either walk you through the process and you do it yourself, or you can purchase a one-time package and have us optimize your site so that it shows up better organically. What's really nice about this is that it's not a paid advertising situation. If you set your website out well, then it will show up more. Also, if you're showing up in newspaper ads, or if you have social media platforms or you're posting in other areas, all of that increases your organic placement as well. And finally, local flavor, things like local advertising, news outlets, community participation. So this is a great opportunity for you to build credibility in your community and build up your brand as someone that cares. The value, the service that you provide, the commitment to people that you have is one of the most important things. They are the most important things that you have to communicate in a service-based business. So you want to see if there's any opportunities for you to show up in the local news. Most towns have a local newspaper, and they will feature articles on local businesses. Just reach out to your local newspaper and ask them to write, would they be willing to write a little article about what you guys are doing in your community? What kind of a business are you running? What are you all about? And 9 times out of 10, they'll do that, and that's free advertising. And by the way, it will help your organic SEO as well, because when that newspaper article publishes that article, they're also going to publish it online, which is going to talk about your business online. 2, write an article or write blogs. If you blog or write articles and submit articles to different places, you're making your business out, you're putting your business out there more, and you're just giving valuable content, which people like. Lots of restaurants and coffee shops have local billboards or local advertising opportunities. Your grocery store probably does as well. Find out about them. Just keep in mind that when you are doing any kind of other traditional advertising, you have to remember that that's just going to get the eye, the first glance. You have to put the website there, and the website has to be written well so that it can help close the deal or move that prospect to the next step for yourself. Sports venues also generally have opportunities to purchase advertising. When you go to our, college at UMass, you go to any game, you're going to see advertising all around the arena, and across the boards. And when it's basketball, it's they're up higher. It's different. It's just it's the thing is that what you're seeing is you're seeing local businesses, and guess which local businesses are always super busy after sporting events end? The ones that were advertising at the sporting event. So it's a great opportunity to get your name out there in your community. Sponsor a team. Little league teams are so cute. If you sponsor the team, they put your business name on their jersey. It's fun, and it's tax deductible because it's technically a donation, right? But it's a great way to show that you support the community, that you care about being visible in your community, and that you're also investing some of your advertising dollars in your local community. So show up at these community events, engage in these local opportunities to advertise and reach people in your area and engage with them. You can make your small business pretty big if you do that, because the more you do this, the more they're going to stay engaged. And if you have things like your content written well, again, it's going to move it to the next step. If there's no barrier to entry, and people can find your phone number, just submit a form for information, they're going to do it. If you're active on social media, they're going to engage with you there. They might give you your email address. You can email campaign to them. There's all kinds of things that you could be doing. So in summary, guys, marketing service-based businesses really comes down to first your content, right? You want to make sure you've got great content for everything else to work. Your website has to be in place, because otherwise everything else is, you can get all the first eyes, but if they get to your website to do that research part and they're not happy with what they see, you lost them. So the content is important. 2, remove that barrier to entry, meaning make that phone number visible and clickable. Forms so people can just electronically communicate with you through your website. Contact information clear. 3, build community. On social media, stay active on social media. Sponsor a team. Do something in your community so that you're building it up. 4, communicate. Email campaigns are a great way to do that. Again, we recommend once every 2 weeks to once a month. And social media is really the best way to communicate. 5, don't be afraid to compete. Don't look at your digital marketing strategy as, oh, well, I'm a small business, so I'm going to take a small approach. There are very specific targeted things that you can do very inexpensively, that can allow you to level that playing field a little bit and compete against bigger business. 6, improve your SEO on your website. little tweaks of the keywords and the content on your page titles of your website are going to help that site show up better on search engines like Google, which is going to help you to compete. And 7, local flavor, right? Local advertising opportunities, newspapers, sporting venues, community events. Be active, because all of these things are going to affect your reputation and build up your credibility, both online and offline. So I hope this has been helpful for you. Please keep in mind that our sessions are recorded. You can watch the replay on YouTube. It's /MA Web Centers official. If you go to our website, mawebcenters.com, you can actually check out all of our social media channels and all of the different resources that we have for you there. We're actually building out a new resources area this week, which is going to feature some really helpful downloads and tips and tricks for, building out your site's content and just really cool, fun things like that. So again, I really hope this has been helpful for you. Thank you so much for joining, and we will see you next